It's time for another Racecraft video, and this time we are moving into the corners. We'll see what you need to do when you enter a corner side by side with another driver and you are on the outside of him. Generally, the outside line will have to be used by the guy attacking and coming from behind, as the driver ahead will defend the inside most times. But it isn't always the case, and we'll make no distinctions here. What you see works no matter if you are attacking or defending, as long as you are on the outside of another driver. First, we are going to deal with the etiquette requirements you'll have to respect when you are on the outside. And later in the video, we'll talk about the execution, trying to understand what you need to do to make it out of the corner ahead of your rival. Let's start. Being on the outside, you don't have many restrictions in terms of etiquette. You will enter the corner from the normal racing line and you'll exit the corner in the normal line too. Only in the central part of the corner you'll have to change your driving a bit. You will need to make sure you don't turn in on your rival. In other words, when you will normally hit the apex, make sure you leave at least one car's width for the driver inside you. Let's see some footage of a driver having to be on the outside of another one through 3 consecutive corners, and then we'll see some frames to understand what he's doing. Now we've seen it, what we are going to do is to see frames of where he has to stay on the central part of the corners. So this will be the normal apex in the last corner, and this is where he has to stay with another driver on the inside of him. This is the normal apex into turn 1, and this is where he has to stay with another driver on the inside. Finally, this is a normal lap out of turn 2, and this is where he has to stay with another driver on the inside of him. In sim racing, it isn't always easy to know exactly where the other cars are. We have to use buttons to look around, so your peripheral vision is pretty limited, and you don't have the sound and vibrations coming from the other cars either giving you information. Because of that, it is a good idea to be cautious when you don't know where the other guy is. If you are in doubt, if he's still alongside you, drive as if he was there. If in doubt, stay out. Let's see some footage explaining this philosophy. So, we are at Silverstone now, and the car ahead is going to miss his braking point for the next left-hander. He goes very deep into the corner and I can take the inside. But now there's a right-hander coming and I'm on the outside and I have no way of knowing where he is. I don't know if he's alongside or if he has already dropped behind. So what you want to do here is to drive as if he was still alongside you, just in case. So what we will do is to give him some room, don't hit the apex in case he's still there, and once you get to a zone where it is safe to use your buttons, look right and find out exactly where he is. Like here, we are already down the straight and we can look without any danger. Now, out of curiosity, let's check where he was in the frame I stopped for a while, and as you can see, it was a good idea not turning in this time. So, if in doubt, stay out. And this is pretty much all you need to know in terms of etiquette. Now, we'll move to the execution tips. To pass on the outside, there are 2 different techniques, the switchback and hanging on the outside. Later we'll see how to decide which one is the ideal for a given situation. But before that, let's talk about braking. When you are outside, you should be able to brake later than the other guy for a number of reasons. It is very important making sure you use that advantage in case you want to have a chance to make your move stick. So the first thing you want to do is to nail your braking point. Never react to the other guy's braking point, always look for your own references. Now let's see what are the main 3 reasons that will allow you to brake later if you are on the outside line. The first reason is track evolution. As laps go by, there will be more and more rubber in the normal racing line. That extra grip will mean reduced braking distances for whoever is on the outside. The second reason is familiarity. If you are inside, you will be braking in a part of the track you never normally use. You will have a harder time hitting your marks, and you might even lose sight of the braking markers if there are cars between you and them. The third reason is psychological. When you outbrake yourself on the outside, nothing happens. You go a bit wide and you go back to the track losing a bit of time. But when you make a move on the inside, if you miss your braking point, you know you are going to cause an accident. For that reason, it's a bit harder to be brave on the brakes when you are on the inside. Now, let's see the two different kinds of moves to pass or keep your position in the outside line. When you're hanging around the outside, you stay in that line all around the corner. The most important factor to make this move work is to get enough of an overlap with the other driver. Make sure you have as much of your car alongside the rival as possible, and if you can, get your nose ahead. Now, let's see this overtake from the chase cam, and we'll stop in the most critical moment for this move to work. So, we are arriving to the corner exit, and the BMW outside is fully alongside the Aston Martin. That means the Aston Martin will not be able to use all the width of the track on corner exit. If the BMW driver was farther behind, the Aston will squeeze him and force him to lift or be run out of the track, and it will be legal. And that's the reason why it's so important to have your car fully alongside or ahead the rival when you are on the outside. So, when is it a move like this likely to work? My advice will be to try this move when you manage to outbrake your rival. If you manage to gain ground on the brakes and get ahead or fully alongside him, there's a high chance you'll be able to make this move stick, as you'll have the advantage of a wider line on corner exit, like here. Now we'll see it from the outside, and I'll stop again on the critical moment. This is the situation you are aiming to create. If you get your car in this position, the rival will not be able to push you wide, and you are in a better position to get a nice run out of the corner too. When you try a switchback, you are not going to be on the outside all through the corner. At one point, you'll cross behind the rear of his car and go to the inside line. Then, you'll try to get a better run out of the corner and complete the move in corner exit, or at least get in a position to attack again into the next braking zone. Now, we'll see how a switchback looks from the point of view of a driver on the outside. The greyback mono brakes as late as he can, and still the red car comes into the corner much faster than him. It is very unlikely this car will manage to hold a decent line, so you cross behind his back and beat him on corner exit. Now we'll see it from the other car's perspective. So, how do we know it is time to try a switchback? The first step is the same as before. Brake as late as you can. Then, keep an eye on what the other guy does. If he brakes even later, like here, it is time to try a switchback. Now, let's see in slow-mo the most important part again. Now, that's the important moment. You don't need to know where the other guy is all the time. All you need to know to decide what to do is who break it later. Keep an eye on your mirrors and see who's carrying a speed advantage into the corner. One thing you should know about the switchback is that it only works well if you are in a 1 versus 1 situation. When you try it in a tight pack, this can happen. Let's see it from the outside now. Second place chooses not to defend, he stays on the outside, and third place is gonna dive on the inside of him, much later on the breaks. Then, the yellow car tries to cut behind him and get a great exit, but when he does it, he ends up turning in on a different car that had got alongside him. And that's all for this chapter. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you found it helpful. There are at least a couple more videos like this coming soon. The next will probably be similar to this, but dealing with what we need to do on the inside line. See you soon, and as always, thanks a lot for watching.